Say.
Best mom ever.
Say.
Thank you. Thank you.
Say.
I love you.
My mom was my bestest friend and today my number one hero. During a good day, during a bad day, and when the day was just fine, she always had a warm smile on her face that told me everything would be okay. Losing that light in my life was the worst pain I felt that I thought would never go away. In 2007, she was diagnosed with lupus, and before she passed away in 2013, she went through dialysis, chemo and radiation therapy, surgery of major organs, and also developed schizophrenia. I will always be grateful for the effort she put towards raising my brother and I while suffering the way that she did. At a young age, we would visit our mother in the hospital as much as we could during the week. During the time periods she wasn't in the hospital, she was always in the crowds of spelling bees, talent shows, and award ceremonies cheering me on. Most of the last 6 years of her life was spent in and out of the hospitals, and to this day, walking through those cold, blue tinted hallways puts a massive weight on my chest. On October 14th, 2013, I was lying in bed when my great aunt went to my room with an expression I've never seen before, and she told me my mom was gone. Some nights I remember I'd cry silently, imagining the worst, as if that would have ever prepared me for that day. Words such as, "she's in a better place now," that I heard on a daily basis, were words that were supposed to act as a comfort to me, but those were only temporary. The pain from that day was just the beginning. She didn't have life insurance, and the funeral costs were higher than 12-year-old me could even wrap my head around. Feeling absolutely powerless in that moment, all I could do was watch my grandparents do everything they could to cover the funeral expenses, all while grieving the loss of their first daughter and taking care of my brother and I. Today, my brother and I are both in college, doing everything we can to put less pressure on the financial burden hovering over our family. I chose to stay in state despite knowing my dreams weren't in Las Vegas, but the reality of student loan debt was something I worked hard to avoid through scholarships and grants I've received. One thing I've learned from my mom is perseverance. She raised 2 kids as a single mother despite the unimaginable pain she was going through, and gave me the happiest moments of my life. In 2019, I graduated with an advanced honors diploma at the Las Vegas Academy of the Arts. That was the first major life event she wasn't there next to me, but it made me even more determined to make her proud. Something I want to say to her is, thank you for everything you've done for me, and I promise that I'll be a daughter that you can be proud
2011.
of.
I remember this day as if it was yesterday. My mom received a phone call on our way home from my dentist appointment about my dad. I knew it wasn't anything good because her voice was shaking as she told me that everything was going to be okay. I wasn't convinced because a couple months before this, my dad had a seizure while we were going on our weekly father-daughter grocery trip. He fell onto the ground and hit his head so hard that the doctor said that if any other impact on his head happened, he might not survive it. I remember how quickly my mom pulled into the driveway where there were police cars scattered everywhere. I remember trying to catch her body as she collapsed onto the floor, sobbing after the police came up to her to tell her the news. My dad had died that morning at work. He was a mechanic and was on a light rail vehicle that was moving into the shop's service lane. He stuck his head out, hitting it against a support beam. He had already passed away when help arrived. If my dad had life insurance, I would have had to see my mom kneeling on the floor, her hands bloodied as she scraped them against the cement, begging for him to come back and help her take care of their 3 kids. I would have had to wake up to my mom crying at night as she stared at the unpaid funeral bills and prior hospital bills piled up on the dinner table, wondering how she was going to pay for all of them, as not only a single mother, but as an immigrant who never got to finish high school and had a job that paid below the poverty level. My mom could have afforded a proper headstone for him instead of having to wait years to come up with the money to pay for one. My family would not have to live paycheck by paycheck and worry whether or not there was going to be food on the table every single day. My sisters could have gone to the colleges that they wanted to, instead of having to pick the cheapest option. I would not have to fall asleep listening to rats crawling through the walls. I would not have had to get miscellaneous jobs like helping my uncle flip houses, mowing neighboring lawns, babysitting, tutoring, or anything that I could get my hands onto that could help me earn some type of income to give to my already stretched thin mom. who was working more and more hours, and instead, I could have focused more on doing better in school. I could have gotten medical help for all the times I woken up in sweats, or had mental breakdowns just reliving the moments where I found out the most important person in my life, my dad, was gone. If he had life insurance, I could have lived life without the worries that no 7-year-old should have to experience. Next year, I will hopefully be attending a 4-year university. However, with only a single mother, the cost of attending the university that would suit me the best would be too much to even fathom. I plan to use a life lessons scholarship to help me afford attending a 4-year university as a computer science major, where I strive to connect my interests in health science with my passion for coding. I aspire to design a robot that assists people with diseases and create an artificial brain to discover new neurological disorders to try to make sure little kids, just like me, around the world continue to have their loved ones close to them for a longer time.
Baskin. I'm 17 years old. I'm a senior at DeSoto High School, and I think I will be great for this scholarship. On February 14th, 2016, Valentine's Day, I was 12 years old. My mother was 33 when she committed suicide. Here is a picture of us. That's my favorite picture. And then here is two more. So I remember on that day, I was at my mother's friend's house, which is where we were staying at the time because we had just got evicted from our apartment and my mother had just lost her job and she didn't really want to tell anybody, so we were dealing with it, just us two. So my cousin came and got me from over there, took me to her apartment, took my phone, and basically told me that we're going to have a no phone day. And I know she did that to protect me from seeing anything that was going on with the situation. So I made a Valentine's Day card while I was over there to give to my mom because Valentine's Day is one of our favorite holidays, so I just wanted to make her something. All of a sudden, my relatives all come in from the door from Michigan, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like what is happening? This is unexpected. So I knew something was wrong. Then my grandmother sat down on the couch and basically told me that my mother had passed away. So from there, I moved to Michigan for 2 years and then moved back here. To my knowledge, my mother did not have a life insurance plan. When the funeral expenses were happening, there was a lot of confrontation and confusion going on with my family. They didn't know who's going to pay for what and how we were going to pay for this. I was there for a lot of it, so I had to hear it while I was trying to grieve and process like this whole situation. So I think that if my mother did have a life insurance plan, it kind of would have prevented a little bit of that situation. Also, I do live with my aunt right now. I love her so much. I am very grateful for having her here and letting me live with her when she did not have to. And she does have a daughter who plans to go to college at the same time I will. So the expensive and financial part of that is still kind of iffy because I don't know how she will pay for that. And I know that if I were to receive the scholarship, it would put a lot less stress on how we will figure it out, just, a little less. And I do have a job, which kind of helps financially for me and my aunt. But I do not have a car. I have a license, but I don't have a car. So getting to work is also kind of a hassle. So I'm trying to save for a car and also save for college. And it's just very confusing. And I think with the scholarship, it will really help this whole situation with me and having a way to actually go to college, because right now college is kind of in the air. I hope that I do. In my head I will, but financially I have no idea what will happen. So I hope I receive a scholarship. I will be really grateful. And with the degree I get, I hope to become a child dentist or an author, and especially with the degree, make my family very proud of me. So I hope I get it. Thank you.
Or Dad. I still remember it clearly, holding your hand as the heart rate monitor flatlined. At that moment, all I could think about was, why me? How could this happen? Is this really the end of it? But I knew that it was just the beginning stages of grief, and even my grades began to drop along with everything else. Though my academics aren't even the worst part of all that you left to us. Because you were our sole financial provider, you left Mom with some heavy responsibilities. She began to take on lots of jobs, even 3 or more at a time, just to provide us with shelter and food. I even took on new responsibilities like teaching Yenna from time to time, being the family's technician, and I even got a part-time job. And though it's been well over a year, only, I've gotten closer with Mom. That time she left for a while to Korea, and the time you took care of us, I resented her a lot. But after she came back and we became a happy family again for 7 months, I started to forgive and forget. These days, it's been hard, but we're learning to get by. I've applied to colleges, and, well, I got rejected from both of my earlies. I know you'd be laughing at me, but probably to cheer me up, you'd buy me delicious meat. Speaking of college, Mom and I aren't sure what to do because of finances. We counted on you for my tuition because we never thought that we'd lose you. But it's safe to say that we're all working really hard to achieve the great goal of paying for my education, even if it is hard. And with the job that I recently picked up, I'll be saving that money too. And though you're gone, I'll keep our memories close to me. But not a day goes by where I don't have any regrets. It sucks, Dad. It sucks that the only reason that I couldn't save you was because you were being too stubborn to go to the hospital. And though we didn't have health insurance, it would have been better for you to survive with us having debts rather than us having a harder time losing you. Though I have so many regrets listed at the top of my mind, and I beat myself up for not being able to save you, I've eventually found peace in what happened. I miss you a lot. We all really miss you a lot, your family and all those you've influenced throughout your short life. Though I have a lot of regrets, I'll do my best to keep my promise to you. I'll keep your last words in mind. Live for me, do your best, and make me proud. I'll do my best to become an artist that you can be proud of.
My name is Asia Alkane, and I am a recipient of the 2022 Life Lessons Scholarship Program sponsored by SYNCIS. I am a senior at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, and I anticipate graduating in spring 2023. Attending UNLV for the past 3 years has taught me the necessary skills to succeed in my discipline and create the most confident version of myself. It has also introduced me to countless people who inspire me daily and given me such amazing opportunities. After graduating, I plan on continuing my studies, and because of that, this scholarship has greatly impacted my financial situation, and I will be able to use the funds to support my living situation and pay for the supplies I need for the upcoming semester. I am so immensely grateful for being a recipient, and thank you very much, SYNCIS, for sponsoring the Life Lessons Scholarship.